Hey, welcome to December. This is the first video that's went up on this channel in December.
Yes, December, getting close to Christmas.
Yeah.
Here. Getting close to The Last Jedi. Whoa.
The 15th, I got it marked on my calendar.
Yes, it's the 17th for me. I've got tickets bought going, I think it's like 4 o'clock that day or something like that.
Is that what you're getting me for Christmas? Tickets to see The Last Jedi?
Well, I assume you would have that taken care of already. So.
No, I'm going, I think the 18th is when I'm going.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I still haven't, I will see it by Christmas, I promise you that. And if not, I'm going on the Disney cruise, and they play it like nonstop there. So I'll probably see it like 3 times there.
Yes. Disney cruise, that's big. That'll be fun.
Oh yeah, it's always fun. And we'll have to do an episode. We'll have to do an episode talking about when Disney bought Star Wars. Anyway,
yes.
We're so again, if you've paid attention, you know that we're doing every episode. So this is the last one of this pattern.
That's why it's good that The Last Jedi is coming soon.
Yeah, we're on Rogue One. The first spin-off of Star Wars, other than the Ewok movies that we're not going to talk about.
Yeah, we sort of went full circle. We started with A New Hope and then went through the first older generation and then back through the prequels and then now back up to Rogue One again.
Yeah, and we've already done
we did The Force Awakens.
Yes, that's the word. I couldn't think of it. I got Last Jedi on my mind.
Yes.
Last Jedi. So before we go off topic for way too long about Last Jedi, we should talk about Rogue One.
Yes.
So first things first, just before we get into like our favorite scenes and stuff like that, can you just tell me an overall rating for the movie? What you thought of?
Ooh, I really liked it. I was very impressed, like being the first standalone movie that came out from Disney, and the idea that they're going to have a bunch of these. I was sort of not nervous for it, but I was just curious about how it was going to go because, like The Force Awakens, while I liked it quite a bit, it relied heavily on nostalgia and plot points from A New Hope and sort of just, going through things that Star Wars fans already love. And so you knew Rogue One was going to be sort of fresh and a different feel. And I really liked it. I'd say, like, I was at first 8 or 9 flashed into my mind, and then I thought 8's too low. And it's 9, like it's like 8.5 to 9.
8.5?
It's like in that range to me. It's really good movie. Like, really liked it.
Better or worse than Force Awakens?
I liked it better, personally.
You like it better? Yeah, yes. I liked it better. And actually, a little shout out. Did you watch our movie therapy series at all?
Yep.
Our episode, I think it was 11 and 12, we had a guest star, Mark from Fanboy Flicks. And before that, we talked a little bit about Rogue One, and he also said that he preferred Rogue One to Force Awakens. Same with Derek, my old co-star from that show.
I think that it might be generational, because it felt like Force Awakens was made for like families and all audiences kind of, and the younger audience, where Rogue One seemed a little more serious in tone and a little more gritty and adult overall kind of thing, where there were still elements for kids and stuff, but overall I would say Force Awakens leaned toward family and younger generation, whereas Rogue One leaned towards the older generation with a gritty movie.
I liked so I think Force Awakens was really good. To me, that was like that was it was a modern Star Wars film.
Yes.
And honestly, that's
a good way to say it. That's a good way to say it.
And as a person that's a big fan of cinema, I like Rogue One more. And the main reason is because, and this is getting on, remember when we talked that Kylo Ren was what I wanted Anakin Skywalker to be like, and I was disappointed. And then, so are you a history buff? You're a teacher, so
to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I've taught history, so I know a little.
Really? You taught history?
Occasionally, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's my second thing that I teach other than English.
Oh, really?
True.
Well, that's an awkward question for me.
It's just because Mr. Yates, you good people don't want to hear. It's a small department, anyways.
So obviously, then like the Vietnam War and stuff like that, and it was a heavily influenced a lot of the scenes from Rogue One, and I really appreciated it. I liked it it was a really good war movie. To
Yes.
me, Force Awakens was the Star Wars movie, like the modern Star Wars movie, and Rogue One was a war movie set in Star Wars, which to me, as much as I hate when they veer too far away from what Star Wars is, I like that they showed this was the in-between. The in-between was different before Luke. It helped Luke and everything that happened after by saying this is the change. Like the Force wasn't around forever, which again the prequels still messed that up a bit. But it felt really nice for being not part of the main trilogy, but being a side. Like I as soon as it came in on DVD, DVD and Blu-ray, I bought the Blu-ray.
And it made me, like, I thought it boded really well for the future standalone movies, just with that initial, like, setting the tone and establishing the quality and just, like you say, different and distinct from the rest of the movies. So hopefully the other ones, while they're obviously in the Star Wars universe, they feel free to sort of make it their own, as opposed to fitting into the trilogies and stuff like that kind of thing.
Yeah, so saying that, what would one of your favorite, talk to me about some of your favorite scenes.
Okay, and so we've all got the favorite scene. I think you know what we're talking about, and we'll get to that. But so my second favorite scene is when it's like a war scene, essentially. It's like a street fighting scene when they're in Jeddah on the streets, and Cassian and Jyn are they're searching around, just looking around the streets, and they meet up with, I looked up that guy's name. I totally didn't, the guy who's like, I'm one with the Force is with me.
Blind guy?
Yeah, it's like Chirrut Imwe or something like that. And that's not what I had like in my head at all. When I saw it, I was like,
yeah, Imwe sounds familiar, but yeah, I did not think that'd be it at all.
Yeah, so anyway, when they all, like the actual specific scene is when they battle with that there's like a sort of tank thing coming through the streets, and they're sort of linking up with those guys, but not completely yet. And then in the battle, they all sort of come together, they fight together, and then out of that, they've formed a union. And I remember, like, when you're talking about it being a war movie, that was a scene that sort of like surprised and impressed me from Star Wars, because it seemed more like a scene from a war movie, something a little grittier that you'd think of from Star Wars than that typical Star Wars where it's sort of not as upfront with some of the conflict and the fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I thought that scene was really realistic. The filming was great. Some of the different perspectives that they showed, the sound was fantastic. Introducing the Chirrut Imwe, if I'm saying it right, the Force is, I am one with the Force is with me, showing that guy in his introductory scene was incredible, I thought. And so, that was a scene that I really, really liked. Yeah. What about you?
Mine segues into yours, actually.
Cool.
So you liked the tank scene, but my favorite was just Imwe's introductions.
Okay.
So,
yes. So just the early part of that.
Yeah, when he just comes in and he knocks out those stormtroopers, and I think it's because I'm a big fan of like Kill Bill and Hong Kong action movies and stuff like that. Right. Bruce Lee and stuff like that. So it reminded me a lot of that, just like the way he used the bow staff and knocked them out. It was very. I think it was you that showed us a clip from a movie in school, something Tiger.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
That's a good scene. The two girls fighting. The two women fighting, they keep grabbing. The one girl's got the green sword of destiny, and the other one keeps grabbing weapons because the green sword keeps cutting them up and trashing them. Oh my God, I love that. Go see Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon if you haven't. It's
a great movie, and it reminded me, if you watch movies like that and Hong Kong action films and Kill Bill, there is less Kill Bill for this one, but there's just kind of like an elegance towards it.
Yes, absolutely.
I guess if you use Kill Bill, then the fight between Beatrix Kiddo and Yen, I think it's Yen.
I'm forgetting the names.
Ren. I think it's Yen. It's Oren. Sorry. Oh yeah, Oren. Right. That scene was very elegant, and I liked how. I like watching that. Like, I feel Hollywood nowadays has too much I like grit in movies. I think grit's great, and I think subtlety is great. But I think they cut it too much, and they butcher it. Where in this, you got to see him do all the moves instead of going, look close up. Oh look, there's the stormtrooper fell on the ground. Oh, what's going on? Like it really let him like show off the moves, and then it's a lot more impressive. There's a thing a lot of modern movies do, especially Marvel, which is they accidentally make the hits softer, which is so in Hong Kong action films, when they do a punch, if there's a cut, like a close-up, it will have them do like this, and then if it cuts right here, the next shot will have his fist here. It brings more of force to
impact, kind of, yep.
Where modern movies do, like the original Guardians of the Galaxy has it. I haven't analyzed the second one yet, but there's one point where she kicks, forget what her name is, kicks her sister, and it goes from almost about to hit her, and then cuts to it coming back. And there's the famous scene from episode 6 where Luke goes to kick the guy, and it's like a far distance away, and it looks funny.
Right.
So where a lot of movies, they cut it, and it does that, and it butchers it. It was really nice to see it completely go out. So that's what I enjoyed a lot about that scene.
It's funny, like you saying too, like I think you're absolutely right about the combination of like the artful violence sort of in the movie. And I feel like when you were talking, I thought about the Kingsman movies.
Yes.
And the new one, especially, like the old one, I didn't even really, like it was okay, I guess, but I was like, I've had enough. And then I heard the new one was just like super ridiculous. And I feel like that movie is one where it tried to make all the violence so artful. And there's a certain limitation, or where it almost becomes over the top or seems cliche or something like that. And I never feel like Crouching Tiger never got anywhere near there, and Star Wars never got anywhere near there. Like it just, it was limited enough that it was still artful, believable, and enjoyable to watch. It wasn't just the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. Gosh, I completely got you. But yeah, exactly. You got exactly what I thought. Well, can you give me another scene that you really enjoyed?
I didn't really have a second one in mind. I loved the battle and the different scenes at the end, like the battle on the ground, in the air, and off in space. But I really, I loved watching, and this is when you said like a modern Star Wars movie for Force Awakens, I feel like that is a good point, because they can do those special effects more cleanly and more detail and do a little more. And like when the X-Wings were flying around one of the sort of force shield things for the base or whatever, and they're flying between these scaffolding things and doing all these cool moves and stuff, and I was just like, oh my god, that's so awesome. And I love that twist in the action and the push towards the light side of when they're sort of getting overwhelmed, and there's the AT-AT about to take a bunch of people out, or AT-AT, depending on whatever. But yeah, and then all of a sudden the X-Wings come in saving the day, and people are prolonging the agony maybe for Rogue One. But anyways, they're doing what they needed to, and I love seeing the X-Wings and the ships come in and sort of swing the tide of the battle a little bit. And I thought a bunch of them getting through that force shield initially was just very exciting, very cool to watch. So that's another scene that jumps out to me.
That jumps out to you?
Yeah. What about you?
Can I cheat a little bit? Can I say?
Absolutely. Well, don't, you're not going into the other thing we're talking about, are you?
No.
Okay, you could lead into that. Okay, yep, cheating's fine.
I'm a really big, wouldn't say that too loud.
We're not in school. We're not in school.
So I guess it's really just a character, but I liked a lot of his lines, which was, again, I'm sorry, I don't really know the names from Rogue One. I do hugely apologize. I should know this.
Are you doing the robot?
Yeah, the robot.
Okay, so K2SO.
K2SO? Okay,
yes.
I like K2SO's lines. Where the other one gets shot and he goes, "Did you know that wasn't me?" He just kind of has, it reminded me a lot of C-3PO, but a little bit more...
A little more attitude, kind of, yes.
A little more attitude and confidence.
Yes.
He was less like, oh my gosh, we're going to die, and more like, hey, F off. I really liked it, and I love C-3PO. I absolutely love C-3PO.
There's one where he's helping fly the spaceship too, and he says something about you know, if we blow up, we'll all be lost in the vacuum of space. And there's sort of this little pause, and then he says something like, well, I can survive in space. Yeah. just basically like, you'll all be dead kind of thing. Like, yeah, that's a great little line.
That and when he lets Jen have a gun.
Yes.
And he's like, did you just let her have a gun? You want to know what the probability of her using that against us is? And he goes, no. And he goes, it's not very good. It's very high.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. He really made me chuckle on a lot of things, which is very hit or miss. Like again, like when they did Jar Jar, and it was just too much. This one they found a nice little like. He made a couple comments that was more of like the audience going. You know, like someone would be sitting, like I'd be sitting in the audience, like, oh, you know, that's stupid that they do that, and all of a sudden he goes, hey, that's stupid that we just did that. It's like, he knows.
Yes.
Instead of Jar Jar just kind of walking around and being, you know.
It is. We haven't talked about it a whole lot, but like one of the like really charming things of the original movie is the humor that's in it throughout, and like you say, that's another thing that was sort of a bit of a mishit in some of the prequels that came out again. But I feel like they've done that really well in both The Force Awakens and Rogue One, having some elements of humor within there. Like Finn had a few funny lines and sort of like...
thumbs up.
Yeah, exactly. Just little things like that aren't too corny or cheesy and are clearly funny and change the mood a little bit. K2SO is my dad's favorite character in Rogue One too. Yeah,
that is awesome. Yeah. So there's an elephant in the room that wears a black cape. We need to talk about this elephant. You'll get very angry and say dad jokes to us if we don't.
Carries a red lightsaber.
Yes. So the elephant in the room is Darth Vader's final scene. Of course, he has a couple scenes in this, and I do like how they use him like sparsely. And then
so amazing. Yes.
His dad joke line, which I was like, okay. There's actually a funny video on the internet made by How It Should Have Ended, and a running joke is that Darth Vader's like, "Oh my God, I'm a father," and like runs around and is very excited about it. And then they had a line where he goes, "Oh my gosh, a dad joke," and then he turns around and goes like, "Why would you say that? Do you think I'm a father?" And he goes, "No." I made me giggle a bit. It was just like the idea of, you know, dad jokes, and he turns out to be someone's father.
Yeah, Vader's like a corny dad like the rest of us kind of thing.
He has like a #1 dad mug at work, you know, sits there, he goes, and the people are like, "Why do you have that? You can't drink that." And he's like, "I don't know, you know, just makes me feel better."
Yeah, how would he drink coffee? I guess he'd have to take the mask off.
Yeah, or he has like a big like twisty straw that just like sticks through a vent and just.
Yes.
I don't think they were really thinking about that when they designed this suit.
No, he was fine. He just had a caffeine injector in the suit somewhere or whatever. He pressed one of those buttons, just gets this little shot of it.
But now just imagine, it's like, you know, this one helps my breathing. This one, you know, gives me some coffee in the morning.
Yeah, this is my espresso machine button here. Yeah. Just, you know, the little tube from his helmet or whatever comes down.
So let's talk about the main scene that everyone loves Darth Vader for in this movie.
Okay, so that scene was like, there's a few reasons why that scene was ridiculous. Like we got the little taste of Vader early on when I think his name is Krennic, the main sort of villain. Krennic, okay. The main villain in Rogue One is going to meet Vader. And even though he's the main villain, like he's clearly frightened to meet Darth Vader, and he's clearly intimidated and everything like that. And Vader makes a little joke at the end of that too, that a lot of people commented on that being cheesy, but I kind of like.
You're a father, of course you like it. You're probably sitting in the theater going, oh, I thought of that.
But a lot of people were like, you know, Vader would never make a joke like that, and he's so serious and whatever. And I'm like, man, when he chokes the guy in A New Hope in the meeting, like he's not gonna kill him ever. He's doing that to like, he's essentially showing off. Like he's sort of making a joke there, I would say. So I thought it was within his character. But anyways, that just sort of, that gives us a little taste of Vader, right? And so we knew, okay, Vader, okay, Rogue One, Vader is part of this, right? And so then there's all the battle scenes at the end, right? I was talking about the X-Wings and everything. The guys on the beach are running. People are dying, right? People that we've just made to care about in the last little while, like Baz and Chirrut. And of course Cassian and Jyn and everything. And it's like, you know, you've just watched this amazing Star Wars battle go on, and all these people you've been made to care about die, and it's like, oh my God, like you're just trying to process it, and then all of a sudden it's like they're back on the ship and guys are running around like crazy, and I love too that they use some of the little graphics from the original movie when guys were like downloading the stuff or whatever, and it didn't look, they made it look where it wasn't cheesy and stuff, I thought. And it was, as soon as I saw that and them like running, I was like, oh my God. Because I'd sort of like, you know, it just goes to the back of your head with what you're watching. And I was like, oh, we're like,
things are kicking off.
Yeah, what's gonna happen here? And then you hear the breathing and it's like, oh my God. And like, you never really, like in as awesome as the original movies are, you don't see Vader, like in Empire, we talked about that lightsaber battle, and that's an amazing scene, an amazing battle, but he's
pulling back.
Yeah, and he's sort of commanding. Like he doesn't, he's not like aggressive in the way that he's fighting. It seems like he knows he's fighting a lesser opponent or whatever. And then in Return of the Jedi, it's almost the opposite, where he's overwhelmed. But that's the only scene, and like such a great scene for just showing like the height of his power and like what he can really do to average people, and when he's angry at his purpose, and like, here we go, there's 8 guys in this little hallway trying to stop me, like it doesn't matter at all, like might as well be mice or whatever. But I loved that. I couldn't believe how awesome that was, and that sealed the movie. Like it was already a wicked movie, but that just sealed it being like, oh my God, awesome. Wicked. Yes.
My favorite thing was me being a big fan of cinematography, as I talked about last episode with the lightsabers and the blue snow.
Yep.
And just seeing it all black and then the red lightsaber.
Yes. Oh my God.
The one thing it did remind me of,
coupled with the breathing, the noise too, is just like, oh my God.
It was a great. Like, I love the visuals.
Iconic. And yes.
There's one thing it kind of reminded me of, and I know a lot of people kind of are like, how do you see that? So I'm going to kind of explain myself. You know, you've heard of the movie Alien, right? Have you seen it?
Huge fan. Huge fan.
So they've made 4 of them. Then they have 2 Alien vs Predators. And then they just made 2 more. So I get so there's quite a bit of them. And then they've made quite a bit of video games. So that scene of Darth Vader going through and just wrecking people and everyone like screaming, and like the guy like reaching through to grab like trying to pry the door open, stuff like that.
Yes.
The horror of that reminded me of Alien. And there's one scene.
I was wondering where you were going, but now I can see that now that you say that.
I was like, it reminds me a lot, just like the terror. And funny enough, then after that, I saw Alien Covenant. And I guess the movie came out this summer, so you know it. I'm not spoiling anything. Anyway, because I'm pretty sure it's in the trailer. But at one point, it's not a xenomorph, but it's a different type of alien, bursts out of this guy's back. And the girl's trying to get through the door, and she's literally doing what the guy was doing, like no, let me out. And the girl's like, no. And just as soon as I saw that, I was like, who called it? I was like, that's exactly what I meant. Like, the fear of the person going like, you know what, just take it, run. I can't do it anymore. And
that impenetrable barrier that's keeping you with the thing that you fear the most and everything, and you're just like, get me away from this. Yeah, I can definitely picture like a few times within those movies where it's just like, you're Ripley at the end when she's got that big suit on and she's battling the one, and she's did like the things like, and she's just like trapped in there and moving her head away, like
it just. So much of it, like the lights off and stuff like that, and just kind of going through
the darkness of it.
The scene where he throws them up on the roof and like they're screaming and stuff like that. I was like, this seems like a horror film. This seems exactly like a horror film. Like if I was going to make Star Wars into a horror film, this is what it would look like.
Yeah, it essentially becomes a horror movie for that like whatever minute or 30 seconds, however long the scene is. But it's good to like specifically mention like putting the guy up on the roof. And just casually, like he's like just walking past guys and just slashing like as he's putting the guy up on the roof and everything. Like there's
just going through them like it's butter. Like it really, and so you had a luxury that I didn't get to have, which was I was born and Phantom Menace was out. Right. I was born in '99, so and then I saw Episode 3. and then I saw the rest of them. Then I saw 1 and 2. So my take on this will not be as pure as yours. Where I remember before I saw 1 and 2, and I watched the original, I thought of Darth Vader as kind of like he was something to be feared, but more of for the people that what he controlled. It was like he's like the head of that, and then I watched 6, and there was the Emperor. I'm like, okay, he's like second in command. Still a lot of
like a general in an army or something like that.
And then I watched 1 and 2, and then I was like, I actually for the longest time was like, okay, then Darth Vader is just kind of a guy that isn't really good at his job. And after watching all the prequels and then seeing that, I was like, this is just a guy that got in over his head, and now he's like this. And then after watching Rogue One, I was like, oh no, this is a guy that enjoys what he's doing. Like, this is something that he is good at. He is feared for a reason. He is the dark side. And I want to know from you who saw the original trilogy, then the prequels, and then Rogue One. I want to know what your take on Darth Vader through those steps were.
And what, like, growing up, like, Darth Vader was always like just a symbol of like evil. Like right away, like in the first movie I saw, in New Hope, he is responsible for Obi-Wan Kenobi dying, disappearing, whatever. And Obi-Wan Kenobi is obviously like the super positive figure in the movie. So that's the first thing he does. Then he cuts off Luke's hand, right? And he's serving the Emperor the whole time. So he was just like the force of evil. And the idea too, like I referred to the scene where he's choking the guy, like I remember thinking as a kid, like, this guy is so evil, he'll kill people on his own side. He doesn't, he's just like evil regardless, right? So there was like the first scene in A New Hope, when there's a lot going on right away. There's the little rebel ship being chased by the Star Destroyer. They get boarded, and all of a sudden there's stormtroopers and Vader right there, and Vader is like pissed off. The first thing we see Vader come in, and then the first thing that he does after that, he's interrogating a guy on the ship. He's holding him up off the ground, and he just kills him, crushes his throat, and throws him on the ground. And so he's like super angry right away. And you might think from like a general or strategic point of view, like, no, you should be like cold and calculated. You should be going about this in a calm manner. Like, that's not the way a leader should be running things going on. But to me, Rogue One clearly shows why Vader would be so like angry and insistent with what's going on too, because it's like, how do you know that the plans are on board? Well, I know because I just saw them get passed onto that ship, and I saw the ship I literally saw the guys do that thing. So here's why, you can tell me you're on a diplomatic mission or whatever. Yeah. These things are on the ship, right?
It's like a toddler going like, I didn't do this. And it's like, I literally just saw you.
Yes.
Like, no, I didn't.
And that's why he like has no patience for Princess Leia at all. He's not like, oh, like maybe she's right or what. He's just like, no, get out of here. You're ridiculous, right? And so I feel like it just really clearly explains and gives credence to how angry Vader is in that opening scene. And it's not like this, exaggerated characterization. There's like a reason behind that now, right? I almost feel too, like Rogue One could almost go to the end of that scene and almost end where C-3PO and R2-D2 are looking out of the escape pod, and they're like looking back at the Death Star, and sort of like because that whole scene sort of directly connects, right? And there's like, obviously that's not the way they were made, but those things sort of link up directly with the idea that Vader and the Empire immediately went after that ship once they were trying to take off, right? So, and I feel like they did such a fantastic job of linking things up, and without making, sometimes like every dot tries to get connected, or there's too many like, it just seems forced the way that they line things up, and I didn't think it seemed forced particularly in there at all. I loved seeing young Leia at the end too. That was just like, and when she like talks about like now we've got hope and stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, how can you not, if you're a fan and you grew up with the movies, how do you not get shivers down your spine
Just
when
like
it's
one little tear.
like, look at what that led to, oh my God, it's amazing. Yeah, so I really like the continuity, and I like how it sort of explained Vader's characterization at the start of A New Hope clearly.
I'd love to do a double feature of Rogue One, and then as soon as it ends, like, don't even watch the credits, just as soon as it cuts, put in New Hope, watch that. I think it'd be a really cool, like, it would then just be like a 4-hour movie.
It's amazing, and I've only done it once, but I made a point of like doing that after.
That is
I'm
awesome.
like, yeah, okay, I gotta watch these in sequence now.
I've been told to do it, but I just haven't. I should. I can't believe I haven't.
The only thing that it does is because, like you say again, like Rogue One being the modern movie, there is some things that look old in A New Hope or whatever. But I mean, it's old. It's 40 years old or whatever, right?
What can you do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so is there anything else you'd like to talk about Rogue One?
I think we're good. The next standalone movie is the Han Solo movie, and got, after what they did with this, I've got high hopes for that movie. Seeing how Han and maybe seeing how him and Chewie originally hooked up, obviously seeing how he got the Falcon, maybe seeing how he's lost the Falcon or whatever, maybe seeing how he connects with Jabba with the spice runs and stuff like that. So I'm excited for that. And The Last Jedi, of course.
Yes, I'm very excited for The Last Jedi. Not particularly excited for the Han Solo movie.
Why? Just because of the things you've read about it or whatever? There have been weird production things, definitely.
Things I've read about it also, like, what's his name? I only know him as Childish Gambino. He was in Community and stuff like that. He's playing
Lando. Yep.
Yeah. A lot of people weren't sure about it, but I remember as soon as I heard about it, I was like, I've seen some pictures that are completely for it, but I'm not sure about his acting style. It's gonna take some work for him. That wasn't what I was really, I was really just concerned that they got 2 popular movies underneath their belt. And I'm worried that they're going to get a little bit cocky, and they're kind of playing with, like, yes, Luke Skywalker's Luke Skywalker, and he is he is the main character. He's big. Yes, Leia's like the princess. Yes, Darth Vader like is him. But Han Solo, I would say, and like, I don't think he's not my favorite character. But I gotta say, out of everyone, he is probably the most held dearest to a lot of people.
Yes.
Like when Han Solo died, people lost it. Like people were like, it hit them. And even people knowing that.
I was very upset.
Yeah, and even people knowing that, sadly, rest in peace, Carrie Fisher, that Princess Leia has to die. Yeah. People still are not as upset about Princess Leia dying than Han Solo. Han Solo is Han Solo. You cannot, just him being him, and I'm really worried that they're going to do too much to him and make him too, like, yes. I feel like maybe, and I could be wrong, hopefully I'm wrong, I feel that maybe he's one of those characters that is a side character, and that should be it. As soon as he's a main character, it's going to mess with him. It's same with Boba Fett, when they're like, I'm like, oh yeah, sweet Boba Fett movie, and then also like, oh, he's going to have to talk in that. He's going to have to do this and that and this.
As soon as you were saying that about Han, that's what came to mind. Like, that's a real concern for the Boba Fett movie and the bounty hunter stuff. And I think there's enough like big things with Han's backstory that would be interesting to find out. Like him and Chewie connecting is something they could do a few scenes with and sort of explain how did this Wookiee and this smuggler guy hook up. Definitely him getting the Falcon. The Falcon is such an iconic thing, showing Lando with it initially because we know he won it off Lando and stuff. So that, to me, you can make a pretty interesting scene. I think the choice of Childish Gambino could be good because like Lando is like a hustler, right? Yeah. And at this point he's young too, right? So you'd think he'd be more flashy and more flamboyant and stuff. So I kind of I think that choice I think that choice could potentially work. You don't want it to go too far for sure, but I also think too, like that whole smuggling world of like, how did you hook up with like the criminal element of the Fets? Like what is involved with like a smuggling thing? Like how I'm assuming they're going to do the Kessel Run, right?
Yeah.
We've got to see like how he does that in 12 parsecs. Like that's got to
see
be
what
part
it
of the
is.
movie. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
what is the
So,
Kessel Run?
Yeah, like all that. I'm thinking there's enough sort of obvious material to go with. If you get some talented writers, some talented filmmakers in there, then they hopefully won't go too far with it. And they've got a lot of good material there.
The one thing, again, and this is another thing I'm worried about, and I don't know what the proper term for it, but I always call it the Robert effect. Why I call it the Robert effect is because, so Nightmare on Elm Street, have you seen it?
Yes.
It's a great movie. So
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
Yep.
I taught
3, 4.
my girls know that whole like up to 10.
Really?
Yeah. I'm weird.
I bought the collection of it because they're my favorite horror films. Anyway, we're getting off topic. But all I'm saying is, so in the first one, Robert Englund did an amazing job at Freddy.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then in number 2, they were originally not going to hire him on as Freddy because of it's a guy wearing latex. He's wearing a mask.
Right.
Why would you need to pay? Because Robert Englund knew that it was going to be a big franchise, so brought up his price a little bit, and they were like, you know what?
Of course. Yeah.
Sit down. We don't need you. And they brought on a new guy. The new guy did really bad because Robert had such a way of moving. Like they even said, for example, a very famous pose is when he walks in and his shoulders are kind of slanted for the glove because it's kind of heavy.
Yes. Right.
Well, they said that the main reason, like the moment they decided they're going to bring Robert back, was because they were filming a shot like that, and the guy came in and his shoulders were straight, and he was very like upright, and they're like, okay, maybe it's a little more than just the mask. And
Yes.
throughout the test footage, they've released it, and you can really tell that it's more than just any person can play it. It's how they carry themselves, and it's really hard to recreate that.
And those
Because-
subtle things, like the devil's in the details, right? Like those little things really make or break the representation. of
Yeah,
it.
and like how Billy D. Williams is Lando. Like I can't, like no matter what, if someone told me to recast Lando, I'd be like, no, I'm sorry. Billy D. Williams is perfect for it. I actually have a painting done by Billy D. Williams.
Really?
It's really
Amazing.
awesome. Yeah, I'll have to show you it sometime.
Cool.
I love it, and I'm like, I love Billy D. Williams. He might not be my favorite character, but how he played the role was great.
Yes.
Han
Yes.
Solo, as much as Harrison Ford doesn't like Star Wars and kind of is grumpy against it, his grumpiness made it. Like through the whole thing of him just going, whatever, I think, because if you're not a Star Wars fan, you're not going to sign up to be in Star Wars.
Yes.
So I think as much as they'll try to be like, hey, I'm a serious actor, I'm going to do this, it's going to be hard not to try to give as little poops as Harrison Ford did and carry yourself as Harrison Ford did. If they do a great job, if he does good, I will be more than happy. I'll be more than happy. I just think it's a lot to chew off, and it's very risky playing with fire. And instead of playing with fire, they're playing with a volcano.
Yeah, but I mean, the way the movies are going, they're not gonna I think they're gonna open up all those volcanoes or whatever, right? Like they're not gonna leave any stone unturned there. I don't think.
Worries me a little bit.
It is, yeah. You never know where it's gonna go, but it started off well. Force Awakens, solid. Rogue One,
amazing.
yeah, definitely really good. So hopefully it continues on there.
Okay, well, so we will be back hopefully next week. If not, we will be back again in December, I promise you.
Yeah, we're gonna do a Christmas special, I think. Maybe talk about some of the cool new Star Wars toys and some of the cool old Star Wars toys.
We're gonna make a Christmas list, and then at some point we're gonna have a guest on, which will be exciting.
Cool.
So, thank you for watching this week. We will see you again.
May the Force be with you.
And also with you.